it's an update from my studio and for the Addicts and Those Who Love Them exhibition. I don't always work in the studio. This is my work table here, and as you can see, there's lots of other stuff here, like earring making equipment and boxes of beads and bits and pieces. This is a lovely arts and crafts table. So I do a lot of my admin and writing here. What I'm doing today is writing out the words for a new portrait for the Addicts and Those Who Love Them exhibition, which, as you know, I hope, is opening in May in Brighton as part of the Brighton Fringe Festival. So I have just finished this painting here. This is of a young mother called May. May is sitting with her children, as you can see, looking out over the sea. May doesn't want to be identified, which is completely understandable. I have just chatted with her to work out what she wants to say on her painting. Now, the interesting thing here for me is that I have never ever been the child of an alcoholic or an addict. I have never actually experienced anything personally in my body with addiction or with a parent who's been addicted. And talking to May made me realise that she was concerned because she thought that I needed her to talk to me about her childhood and how difficult that was. And that's not what I want. Actually, what I want is whatever she wants, but that's too vague. That's too open for somebody who is still battling trauma and PTSD, even though she has come amazingly through a childhood of very difficult trauma. Yeah, I wanted to say the word abuse, and that that might be a good word to use. She and all her siblings. So the lesson for me talking to May was, actually, I need to be more specific. I need to say not what do you want to say or what's your story. I need to say, what are you comfortable talking to me about, and what would you like to put on your painting? Doesn't have to be about your past. It can be about the future. It can be about hope. It can be about healing. So here, underneath all my bits, I trod on my best pair of glasses here. I don't know if you can see them. And when I put them on, they don't go on properly, and then they fall off. So I'm having to use an inferior pair. No, they're lovely. Thank you, glasses. So I have 3.5 pages of notes now to write up on my computer here. I'll send them to May. She can say, yep, those are the words I want to say. And once I've got her go ahead, I will write them on her painting, just everywhere, actually, all along here. The background, the sea, the sky, the sand. What it'll end up looking like is this. This is one I've just finished. This is Professor David Nutt, and he looks like everybody's twinkly grandpa, and I'm sure he is. But when I showed these words to my friend and colleague Vanessa, she said there was truth bomb after truth bomb after truth bomb with his words here. So some of David Nutt's words are: decriminalisation is the best way to stop drug use. Drug testing centres to minimise opioid deaths from fentanyl safe injecting rooms. Then he said, the war on drugs has always been a scam. David Nutt was sacked as the government drugs advisor for saying that it was safer to take MDMA than it was to fall off a horse. And of course the press took that up, ran with it, and he was sacked. Now, David Nutt is no fool, and he had done a lot of research, and he was wanting to make a point about the real and perceived harms of some of the drugs. A lot of David Nutt's work now is about investigating the harms and benefits of drugs, legal and illegal, with a view to helping people with addiction, alcoholism, PTSD, trauma, depression, and so on. So he had this research done where he had looked at the deaths from MDMA for the past, let's say, a year. You'll have to look it up properly to get all the actual facts, the timescales, but let's say a year. And I think there were none, or maybe one. And he looked up the deaths from falling from a horse, because I think there was a story in the news about someone who had fallen from a horse and been terribly disabled by it. And he found that difficulties, illnesses, disabilities, deaths from falling from horses was actually quite a lot. So comparing the two, deaths from MDMA and deaths from falling off a horse, horses were much more dangerous. So that was his point. But anyway, he was sacked for it. He says here, my sacking as the government drugs advisor, a Rosa Parks moment, created a live debate suddenly. There's a lot of words here. Almost all drugs policies are based on politics, not health, he says. Let me just see. Drugs policy makes everyone worse, led by the USA seeing addiction as a moral failing and not a mental health problem. So this, to me, is a very profound message and painting, and I am very grateful to David Nutt and all the people who take part in the exhibition. I'm deeply grateful to May here for allowing herself to be seen. That is real courage. It's real courage to allow herself to be seen and to say something about her life and to understand that her future is bright, as bright as she can make it, and her children are the focus of all her healing now. And she's a very wise lady. I mean, no flies on May here. She's good news. So there you go. I'm now going to write up my notes for May and take it from there. You can support and invest in my work, which is to use art to tell stories, create communities, raise awareness and understanding around addiction, by following me on Patreon. And my Patreon page is at www.patreon.com/Antonia Rolls. For the minimum of £5 a month, you can support me to continue with all this painting and exhibiting and interviewing and publicising the human story behind addiction and the ways in which different people experience it. So I would love for you to go to my Patreon page and to join me there and become part of the community. As I say, this Addicts and Those Who Love Them. Behind every addict is someone traumatised by loving them, is the name of the exhibition. It's opening again in May this year in Brighton. There'll be more information on that as part of the Brighton Fringe Festival. After that, it's going to go everywhere that I can take it, and I'm going to grow it and grow it, tell more and more stories and meet more and more people on your behalf and show you what they say and what they look like through paint and art. So thanks very much. Do go to my Patreon page and support me there. Thank you.